Welcome, everybody. So glad to be here with Mike Dixon today. I'm so excited. This precious family are really good friends of mine. Just let me do this introduction. Mike has been using homeopathy for about 2 years. And he's used a few things like arnica years ago, but really didn't know much about homeopathy. That's how most people come to homeopathy, is using arnica. And actually, his wife was in one of my first, either my first or second class that I taught. So that's really how we got to know each other. And so his wife, Lacey, and he have used homeopathy to treat themselves and their children. His personal favorite remedy has been roost tox. It has really helped his poison ivy. Camilla has also helped the children. And I want to just give a little bit more information about Mike. So Mike is known on YouTube and as the Fit Farmer. So this is what there are local farmers here that have helped me so much just in helping me get started with a little bit of homesteading here and there. So Mike is a former professional, natural, drug-free bodybuilder, personal fitness trainer, and nutritional coach turned farmer homesteader. When he and his wife Lacey discovered the sad truth about our modern food system, they were inspired to begin growing food for themselves and their children right where they lived in the city. I love this story. You have to go watch the beginning on YouTube. So Mike explained that prior to this, he said, he said, I had never grown anything in my life, and when I grew something from seed to harvest, it felt so empowering, and I just wanted to grow more and more. I agree. The first time you grow something is like, what? I can do this. I can actually feed my family. And so as Mike and his family's aspirations for growing more continued, they were faced with the city ordinances that hindered them from their urban homesteading goals. So this is when they decided to leave the city. Next, they sold their house, furniture, and all their possessions, bought a yurt, which I had never heard of a yurt before I met Lacey, and moved to the country to start a homestead. Today, years later, their homestead produces food for their family and many of the farm customers that they serve. Follow along with Mike and his family adventures on YouTube. It's so fun to watch these YouTube videos. Y'all have to go and subscribe to his channel, watch these videos. They are fun but also informative. You get to know their family. What I've heard from people that come to me from them, to have me consult them with homeopathy, is that they feel like they know this family. They feel like they are part of your family. So they, on their YouTube channel, they inspire, educate others about living a healthy and more connected lifestyle. And I absolutely am thrilled to have Mike here to help us understand why dads need to be involved in the healthcare of their families. Welcome, Mike.
Greetings, Melissa. Thanks for having me on. I'm definitely glad that I can have an opportunity to chat with you and share with others why this is an important part of families. Our health is important, and we all need to be on the same page about it as we go forward. Just living the family life together. So yes, it's super exciting to be here.
Yeah. So, it is a little bit sad, but I do often hear in most families it's the mom, which is, I don't mean that that's sad, but man, for the dads to be involved too in the healthcare choices and the healthcare of their family is huge. And so I love that you're involved in your family's healthcare, not just food. Food is health, right? The right foods are health, but also, in using homeopathy and other natural modalities. So, Mike isn't the dad that just sits back and allows Lacey to do everything and make all the decisions. They work together as a team, which is amazing. So what I would love to do is for you to tell us about your family and what your healthcare journey has looked like.
Well, the healthcare journey kind of had started, before we even were a family. You mentioned earlier that I didn't grow up homesteading, and I didn't grow up involved in health and wellness at all, or been oriented that way. When we grew up, we had the sad American diet when I was a kid. I ate too much sugar, too much processed food, and it's just terrible. And was definitely took a lot of pharmaceuticals, over-the-counter junk, from Robitussin to Dimetab, you name it. I was definitely we were had allergies a lot as a kids, and we were sick way more than my kids are sick. As we're raising them, and I'm seeing, wow, they're not sick nowhere near as often as I was as a kid. It's pretty interesting to see, but they live very different lifestyles, so it's not a total surprise, but just something. But as I was growing up, and then I started transitioning and getting more interested in, it's for me, it started with just the fitness industry and bodybuilding, and that is, I was like, wow, I want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want to have that physique, or a physique like that. And then I started getting into working out, and then as I started getting into working out, I was like, there's this important part of it, nutrition, that I'm not doing anything about. So I started working on trying to improve my diet as I was learning. And then I started getting really involved and competing as a bodybuilder. And nutrition is a huge part of it. One of the things that I would tell people is there was no way that I could get up on stage as a bodybuilder and compete if I didn't have the diet right. The diet is like 90% of it. So as I was learning about nutrition and doing the bodybuilding thing, I became a personal trainer and a nutritional coach. And the more that I learned about nutrition, just seeing how important it is for your health, it was just like, I need to be on this journey of just, I started eating more organic foods and getting rid of the sugar and processed junk, and started eating more nutrient dense foods. And as I was doing that, I noticed allergies that I had growing up, they were going away. And for the longest time, I couldn't breathe out of both nostrils at the same time. I would go through life just only able to breathe out of one. And then as I cleaned up my diet, I was able to start breathing out of two. And I remember asking Lacey, was it abnormal that I could only breathe out of one nostril pretty much my whole life? She's like, no, that's not normal. So just cleaning up my food and what I was eating made a difference that I could start to see right away. And then I noticed some foods, like even apples, eating apples when I used to eat the sad American diet, they really didn't have flavor. But as I cleaned up my diet, I was noticing that all of the strawberries, the apples, their flavor was such more flavorful. I was able to enjoy them, and they didn't taste bland. And I didn't need the high sugar foods to satisfy me. It got to the point where now if I go eat those foods, I'm like, whoa, that has way too much sugar in it. I can't eat that. So you as you begin to weed that stuff out of your system, you're able to really appreciate and consume the real foods that really provide you with nutrition, and you really start to not want the junk. So from there, Lacey and I met. She struggled. She was on the sad American diet growing up as well, and she struggled with her weight for years. And then that led her to wanting to get into exercising more and to eating more nutritiously. And she started cleaning up her diet, and then she lost weight as a result of that. And then we ended up meeting, and then we had that in common, that we were both really interested in nutrition and health and fitness. And then as we just gradually started, as we started to come together and eventually got married, we just had that in common. But some of the things as we were going through the journey, our health journey together, one of the subjects that she brought up, which was, for me, it was just like, whoa, I'd never heard of that before, was natural birth and home births. I'm like, and she was like, I really don't want to give birth at the hospital. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. That's something I've never really thought about before, and that's little weird, but I'm listening and interested to hear what you have to say about this. I'm definitely interested. So that's something to keep in mind, guys, is to be interested and to listen. And then as she started, I started to see, well, one of the biggest influences that really helped me out was watching the movie The Business of Being Born, a documentary. I like to watch documentaries. And then once I watched that, I was like, whoa, it gave me a whole different perspective on just the whole birth scene and things at the hospital. And then from there, I started reading different articles about home birth and natural birth. And she even talked me into going, not that she had to really put the work into talking to me to do this, but I actually went to what they call a birth circle meeting, where they talk about they're just a meeting of ladies. They had midwives there, doulas there, and some moms who just talked about birth. There was supposed to be another guy there, but somehow I ended up being the only guy there. But I was like, okay, I'm the only guy here, but this will still be fun. It's okay. I can do this. So I was there, and then as I was there and I'm listening to these ladies tell their stories, their horrific stories of giving birth at the hospital, I was definitely convinced after that point. I was like, I do not want my wife going through that at all. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, I am on board, definitely. So. But that's just one example, and she's presented a number of other things as we've gone through our health journey together. And I just learned to listen, to process the information, and to appreciate her feminine intuition that she's been given. She's done that with homeopathy and other things, and I really appreciate that. I'm a big believer that I believe in God, and as our Creator, that He has given men certain characteristics that help us, that aid us in our responsibilities as protector and providers, but He's also given women certain characteristics that aid you all in your responsibilities as nurturers and caretakers, and we should appreciate that. And I've noticed this in action, like if a child or someone is hurt and their limb could basically about to be falling off, and a guy would be like, "Oh, just walk it off. You'll be all right. You'll be all right." I even seen this happen at the gym that I worked at. There was a basketball game going on at the gym that I worked at, and this guy got hit in the eye bad, and his eye immediately just started getting crazy colors, swelling up, and they're just kind of like ushering him off the court, like, all right, man, just go take care of it. They weren't, but then the guy comes up to the front where there's some ladies, and they're like, oh, let us help you out. Let's call 911. The other guys just kept playing the basketball game and just totally forgot about that guy. So I kept those things in mind, and it's just an example that men we're not as equipped as ladies to have that feminine intuition and to have that nurturing, caretaking characteristic that God has given you, and that's something we shouldn't is not it's something we should celebrate more and appreciate the differences. Yeah. Because we complement each other. We come together to work together. So yeah, and it also reminds me of in farming. Of chickens. You have hens, which are female chickens, and you have roosters, which are male chickens. Just noticing a hen as it's looking around as for a place to lay its egg. Is her eggs. She wants it to be a nice, comfortable place and properly protected, and she gets all the items that she needs for her nest to help nurture and then eventually care for the babies that will be produced. And she's there just tending to them and caring for them the whole time. The rooster, is he laying on the egg sitting right there with her? No, he's doing his own job. He has another job where he's walking around looking at how he can protect and do his job that he's equipped to do. So those are some of the things. Sorry if I rambled a little bit there.
No, that's good. That's really good.
It illustrates a little bit the differences that complement us to be together in one.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. We are different, and we should. I love what you said. We should celebrate and acknowledge each other's differences, and also, dads do have the ability though to be involved in the caretaking at least a little bit, even.
Yes.
So I would love to hear how are you involved in the health care of your family, and just again remembering that what I'm wanting to do here is encourage dads that you can be and you should be just to support your wife and to support your family. And so How do you do that? What does that look like for your family?
Well, for me, I know our situation is a little different because I am really interested in health and nutrition, and I know not every guy is. And for most of the cases, the woman is the one who's more naturally inclined with the characteristics that she has to be focused and more thoughtful of the nutrition and the health care needs of her family. The men, they're going to have to put in a little bit more work and effort to do that, However, one of the things to keep in mind is for me, and I definitely want to talk to men right here for this, is to keep an open mind and be teachable. I know that can be hard for some men with egos, but you really need to learn to be teachable, to have that open mind. I consider myself an open-minded person, yet I'm also a skeptic. I'm willing to try anything for the first time, pretty much, but then I also need to see results, and I need to see evidence, and most men kind of think like that on a logical standpoint. If you can kind of get them to go that direction, they need to see the logic behind things. That's just kind of how our minds work. But men need to be, like I said, teachable, willing to look at articles that your wife may bring to you, information that she may present to you to help you to as she presents a certain subject or topic to you, whether it be homeopathy, whether it be home birth, or whether it be pharmaceuticals, natural medicine, whatever. But to be open-minded to it, be willing to watch documentaries or listen to podcasts like this one to learn and to pray about the information that she's sharing with you, and pray about the decision that you guys will make together as you go forward. And also, keep in mind that before you reject or accept anything, you need to make sure that you are informed. You have to make an informed decision, one way or the other. So many men just kind of we've heard mainstream media, we've heard this, and we don't really make a decision. We just blindly trust them, and really it's not an informed decision. We're just kind of just going with what everybody else is doing. But to really gather, one of the things that I say about to my wife, and even if she's asking me for dinner, she's like, well, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, well, what are my options? I need to know options. I need to know, before I can make a proper choice, I need to know what I'm dealing with here. And if you don't know your options, you're not making an informed decision. And next, I would say trust your wife. Your wife, as mother and wife, they care more about the health of your family than any corporation, any system. Their heart properly will be with the family. And a corporation, they are more concerned with profits than they are the heart and love of your family. I'm just sorry, but that's just the truth of the matter. And I mentioned mainstream. I mean mainstream anything, mainstream media, mainstream medical, all of it. They're all have the same focus in mind. It's just profits, That's that's bottom line. And I'd also say next is move forward together. So as you're trying to get all the information that you need and working together, trust your wife, trust her intuition, trust what the characteristics that God has given her, but then find a way to move forward together in unity. And there'll be a lot more peace with that in mind, and try not to make it a peaceful situation, because you are a team. You need to keep that together, and you realize that you need to move forward together as a team.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And as women, we can make emotional decisions, which isn't the best way to make any decision. Sometimes if we base our decisions on emotions, it can be a not so good decision. So we need our husbands to ground us sometimes in that. So if we bring, if fear creeps in, which is so common in women, and whatever's going on in the world right now today, when you're listening to this, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you listen to this in 2028. When whatever's happening in the world right now, it's likely bringing some fear to your wife, and then she's going to start doing research, maybe make decisions based on fear, which is a huge thing that I'm always talking about. We never want to make decisions based on fear, or when fear is involved, we have to step back. So husbands can help us be grounded in that way, because we are often more fearful, but also we might not trust or listen to what you're saying if you haven't done at least a little bit of research. So we're not, I'm not just going to say, oh, you don't think this is a good idea? Okay, I'll go do something else, if you haven't even looked into it. So at least look into it with us. Help us, to make good decisions, but also, trust that we've done a ton of research. So women can do a ton of research in a short amount of time. and we can multitask. Like we can do our research while we're doing 80 different other things, at the all at the same time. And so just trust that we have done our research and at least look into it with us. And so being a team as a husband and wife is huge. That's what the Lord has meant. That's what He meant for marriage, is that we would move together in peace and as a team. And so, I wonder, Mike, what if dads don't feel confident? What if they want to be a help and they want to help their wives make decisions and be involved, but they don't feel confident because, maybe they haven't done the research or they don't even know where to start? Do you have any suggestions for men if they want to be involved, they just don't know what to do yet?
I would definitely just encourage kind of some of the things that I just mentioned is to kind of, most of the time, men, especially if they're focusing on being a provider, they don't have necessarily the time to invest in doing a ton of research to get into the subject. So this is where we really need to, if our wives does present us with the material, we need to really have that open mind to look at what she has, listen to it, and to trust her. You also mentioned the emotional side of things, and that's another thing that not that men are never emotional, but women tend to be guided more emotionally, which helps with that nurturing,
Right.
caretaking thing. Men are more logical for the most part. Not saying that women aren't logical at all, but men tend to
Right.
think more just system deficiency, more like Spock from Star Trek.
Yeah.
We tend to lack emotion sometimes, and sometimes emotion is needed more than logic, and sometimes logic is needed more than emotion. This is just how we are.
Right.
Once again how we can come together to balance each other out. But in relation to that, I do want to give some advice to the wives that and how you can share the information with your husband. I think of the Apostle Paul when he was talking about marriage. He talked to both the men and the women because I think that's needed, and I don't mean to offend anybody and the things that I say. I'm trying not to, so I hope I don't. But
I don't think
wives,
you are at
as
all.
you are presenting, as you're presenting the information to your husband, don't disrespect him in how you are relaying the information. Like I
Agree.
mentioned, most of the time, you're going to be the one who is more knowledgeable on the subject that you're presenting to him, but that doesn't mean he's an idiot. So keep that in
That's
mind,
right.
that you just want to be as
Mhm.
respectful as you can. This goes both ways in whatever subject, but in general, right now we're talking about in this particular case, be respectful in how you present. Think of it as presenting the information to him. Pick a good time. Don't just give him a curveball like right out of the
Right.
blue. Oh, here's this really deep subject. You got to make this really important decision on. We're gonna have a home birth right now.
Right when I just got
What?
home from work. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I encourage you to present the information with wisdom and patience, because he may not have the best response right off the bat, but just do it in patience. One of the examples, I looked to the Bible for a lot of different examples, is that of Queen Esther. And this is when her people were getting ready to be annihilated by a decision that her husband, the king, had put a decree that he'd put into place for the Jews. And with her response was, first she was praying and fasting about it before she even brought it to him. And then when she was coming, when she was coming to him, she didn't man bash. She didn't lead an uprising. She didn't say, "Oh, that idiot." No, she didn't do that. She put on this fine apparel, something he probably really liked. And then she had a banquet. She had a
So
banquet for him.
good.
I'm like, wow, what a way to present it. And then at the banquet, she treated him really nice, but she didn't bring up the subject even at that first banquet. She had the first banquet, didn't bring it up at all. Then she had another banquet where she did the exact same thing. She got in her fine apparel, had a banquet for him. He was feeling nice. She buttered him up really well. This isn't over exaggerated, but it's a good example of how to present things in wisdom and humility and patience. And I think that Esther is a perfect example of that. And then
And
she
being led
eventually,
by
the
Holy
king was like,
Spirit.
she exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
God definitely guided the whole process for sure. And then she then at the second banquet, he was listening to whatever she had to say, and then she shared the truth with him. And you read the words, it's in total kindness and respect. And he's like, oh no, what have I done? And he's like, then he makes another decree where it rectifies the situation. But because how she went about it, it saved the lives of her people. Like if she would have had the approach that Vashti had, that he did away with earlier, it would have been a tragic event. It really would have been.
Yeah.
But that's just something to keep in mind. That don't nag your husband. Don't randomly throw it up to him in a bad moment. Think about your approach. Especially on these more serious conversations. Try to make sure that you're setting it up. I think of a soft answer turns away wrath. Come with a soft answer. Come with pleasant kindness. People are, in general, this is a principle in general, are going to be much more responsive to someone who comes with them with that frame in mind. And then as you present him with him, maybe just start with setting articles just on the table. Don't force him to read it. Put it up on the refrigerator somewhere out. And then maybe come to him and ask him, say, honey, I really would like it if I've been reading some of this, or I've watched this documentary, or I would like to watch this documentary. Would you sit down with me and maybe we could have some wine or something and just watch this together? What husband would say no to that? And I think most would say well. And for me, like homeopathy, magic pills. That was a neat documentary for me to see. There's other ones out there.
Great. That's a great idea. Yeah.
And if there's other subjects that you want to go down more into, whether it be vaccines or whatever, maybe watch High Wire together or something. But and even homeopathy. You mentioned earlier that Lacey took your class. Sometime later, I took your class. I really benefited from it. That's right. Men can take it too.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So, and it's so funny that you said earlier that you were in that birth circle meeting. There was supposed to be another man there, but you ended up being the only one. Same thing in my class. I had expected there was supposed to be another man there, but you ended up being the only one. And
I forgot about that.
And so men, don't be intimidated by that. No, don't be intimidated by being the only man. If you want to come take a homeopathy class with or separate from your wife, come and do it. Because if you can learn what it is that she's trying to do in your family, then you can support her better. But also, I love one kind of side note is I love what you're when you said bring it to them respectfully. Bring it to your husband in a respectful way. I love the book by Dr. Eggerichs, I think I'm saying that right, called Love and Respect. It really taught me as a woman how much my husband needs respect, but also how much I need love. So he needs to love, that emotional side that you were talking about, and I need to respect. And when we both get what we need in that way, when I get the love that I need and he gets the respect that he needs, then we both can breathe. And we both can work together, and we're both thriving. And so I love that you brought up respect. That's something huge that I really believe in. So, and then in anything in life, when you're bringing something to a person, the way that you do it and the timing needs to be right. And if you are going to try to get him to agree to something or look into something when he's just come home from work, when he's tired and he's been dealing with people all day or whatever, you gotta know in your family what that looks like. So in my family,
exactly right.
Because I've been a homeopath for more than 20 years, I was already doing this before we got married. And so I pretty much was set in it. When we talked about it before we got married, hey, I was like, hey, this is what I do. This is what I believe about vaccines and healthcare and all the things. And he agreed. And I was like, praise the Lord. I mean, we were already on the same page in the beginning. And then, so what we've done over the years is he takes care of the politics end of it. Because I don't have the mental capacity to pay too much attention to the politics. I do. It's not that I'm completely blind. I don't know what's going on. But I trust him to take care of that piece, and I take care of the health piece. But he also knows what I'm doing and what we're doing. He agrees with everything. We talk about decisions. But I just really love what how you're encouraging men to be more involved. Is there anything else, Mike, that you want to share with us about this subject?
Overall, and I mentioned it for the men, but both the men and women, same last point is be mindful to move together in unity. Whatever decisions you guys are making, you got to keep in mind that you got to figure out how, even if some there needs to be compromise here or there, you ultimately still need to move forward together in your journey together. To find a way to get on the same page and be on the same plan, and we just have to do that. We just have to do that.
I agree. Thank you.
And this could be something where you spend time together. It could, but if it's not something that the husband is just necessarily showing super interest in, you also want to be mindful not to overwhelm him with constantly coming at him with it. It may not be a subject he wants to listen and talk about every single conversation you have, or a majority of it. Don't do that either.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Still nurture your relationship, and life should be balanced in general. That one subject shouldn't be the sole focus of your lives of existence. So keep that in mind, that you need to nurture the relationship with each other in various ways, and like you said, women need love, so men need to listen to them and express love and communication, and men need respect, like you mentioned as well. Mm-hmm. So
it's biblical, It's not a sexist, feminist, whatever thing between love and respect. It's biblical, and that's what, and that's the way we're all made. So I love watching your YouTube and how you and Lacey work together, and I mean, you two work together. Y'all. It looks like y'all are together as a family 24/7. You don't go off somewhere and work. So your relationship is stronger, but also, there's just that constant togetherness that a lot of us don't have. So I'm just so thankful that you came and spent your time with us here today. And if there's anything else you want to share, feel free right now.
Yeah, I just want to say just some of the things that we've mentioned, and for me, it's been a proof of God to see that when the things that He has and He says to do, they actually work. They're like the sooner we realize it, the sooner we can not have chaos and confusion. That it actually works. Try it. Like I mentioned, like the Queen Esther approach. It worked. Those things work, and we'll be better off for it. But like I said, just do everything you can to be on the same page together. I know not everyone is able to spend a lot of their time together like we are on our homestead. Like you mentioned, we basically do all these different projects and we work together. At first, that's an adjustment as well, because it forces you to work out problems. You can't avoid it. Sometimes when you work at different places, you can go off and avoid each other for a majority part of the day and just come back home and eat dinner and watch Netflix, and you can avoid some problems. But overall, at the end, it will eventually come about. But we are so much more concentrated that we have to deal with those issues more immediately.
Yeah, that's good.
So just things
good
to keep in mind, that to invest in our relationships.
Wonderful. Yeah, so good. Well, Mike, I appreciate your time, and I can't wait to just come back, again some other day. I've done 2 interviews with Mike on his YouTube channel before, and so maybe we'll think of something else to bring to you all in the future. But definitely go check out his YouTube channel, Mike the Fit Farmer. And how long have y'all been doing that?
Oh wow, I think 4 years now, something like that. I forgot.
Yeah, man.
Over 500 videos.
Yeah, it's huge. All right. Well, thanks so much. I'll see you soon.
All right.